Welcome to your pre-institute primer for the 2019 Professional Standards Institute, better known as PSI. My name is Sean Chrysler, and I'm your host and one of the faculty members for PSI. This overview has been designed with your time in mind. With PSI only a few weeks away, we want to begin to help you become familiar with some of the materials that we will use throughout the review. Today's agenda. The purpose of this primer is to introduce you to the Institute of COI standards and self-assessment guide. We will cover the PSI learning outcomes so that you know that these outcomes are designed to further understanding and based on the use of the COI standards while giving you an opportunity to learn and apply these standards through a review process. The overview of the standards and the self-assessment guide should help you answer two questions. What are professional standards? And why have professional standards? The COI Self-Assessment Guide, or the SAG, was developed for the purpose of putting the COI standards into a format that makes them easier to use for self-study purposes. Let's take a look at our PSI learning outcomes. Part of the reason why PSI has been so successful is because of the creation of an immersive experience that can be seen in the learning outcomes. PSI creates a space for you to develop further understanding and use of the COI standards in a real life setting while learning ways to utilize and apply the standards. We will go through a modified external review which will allow us to review information from our host institution, interview staff from the host institution, and learn from each other in small group settings to gain team perspective as well as individual perspectives. All of these activities provide an opportunity to learn about the components involved in a review, whether it's an external or internal review of your campus or perhaps another. Let's take a look at the standards. So what are professional standards? Well, typically they're statements framed within the context of a professional arena designed to provide practitioners with criteria against which to judge the quality of programs and services offered. Some might even say they serve as a code of practice of professionals in the same profession. A standard reflects an essential level of practice that, when met, represents good performance. So why have professional standards? Well, you can use professional standards to measure professional services, resources, staff, programs, and facilities, perhaps to assess and approve a housing program. Some might even use it to show constituents or stakeholders that we are a group of professionals with a defined program quality. It can also help you provide criteria for institutional self-study, external reviews, assessment cycles, and possibly even prepare for accreditation. It's important to note, however, that these standards are designed to support and guide. They are not designed to force compliance. Standards give us a means to measure where we are to gain a sense of where we want to go based on our mission, vision, and goals. The structure and format of the COI standards are written in broad terms in order to meet the needs of the association's diverse membership, but it's important to recognize that the lens of the standards are based in U.S. practices. We are currently working with members outside of the U.S. to broaden the application and language used in our standards. These standards are designed and updated by members like you every 2 years, and they help us to improve the quality of our programs, but also to provide foundational benchmarking. Some of the language used is meant to guide, while other language is meant to serve as a standard. The standards are broken down into mission, ethics, ethical hiring practices, qualifications for positions. There are also 6 functional areas: business management, student learning and development, residential facilities, dining services, crisis management, public-private partnerships. The Self-Assessment Guide, or the SAG, is a really great tool and it's formatted to assist you. So it was developed for the purpose of putting the core standards into a format that makes them easier to use for self-study purposes. The self-study is an important part of any review process and helps professionals in a review process find evidence and information to help confirm or underscore areas of opportunity and growth. The SAG contains assessment criteria only for the standards listed in the standards document. The SAG uses a rubric to assist evaluators in determining the degree to which standards have been met. Depending on your institution's culture, you might find the need to adjust the rubric to ensure that you are collecting the correct information in the evaluation process. Given that there are multiple sections of the standards, one could use an individual section or multiple sections in the evaluation or review process. We want to thank you in advance for coming to the Professional Standards Institute. Your PSI faculty, Jeanette Zelba, Dion Green, and I look forward to meeting you. We want you to follow along in Canvas to get assignments that are due prior to your attendance and arrival. The self-assessment guide homework and host institution materials are also up for review. If you have questions, your PSI chair and I, along with Dion, can be contacted with the information below. Completion of your assignments aid in your learning. Make sure that you make time to invest in you by going through the materials so that you are prepared before you arrive. We look forward to seeing you. We wish you safe travels, and we'll see you in Guelph.